Now, why do we think that Agile can be used for business professionals is because generally they take a lesson every week. So we meet with them for a session every week, and we have a contract for 10, 20, 30, 40 hours. So this seems like an Agile project. And basically what we do, at the beginning we set SMART goals, but when we meet our learners, they have their assumptions, beliefs, and they don't have real clarity on their goals. There are certain areas where we can dig into, so we know the direction, what they really want to do. Now, why we chunk it down, so basically if we have a 6-month project, then we want to say, let's say we want to have 5 sprints, so 6 weeks, we plan for 6 weeks. It gives a lot of flexibility, because how many times it happened that they wanted to focus on a meeting, then after 4 weeks they were called by a headhunter and they said, oops, I want to focus on interviews. So immediately you can start, it's a new sprint. And also so it gives the flexibility, the agility, so you can adapt very quickly. At the same time, all these sprints will give certainty to the brain, because they see the progress. Oh, we've done this and we closed that topic. And they also agree. Now, it's a highly collaborative process. We have to communicate continuously with the learner, the team. And it means that their involvement and engagement is much higher, the stakeholder engagement. The communication has to be really effective, explicit, open, and also clear during this process. Now, how does this go? This is, we have a start. And at the start, during the kickoff session, we have to envision the end. And we have to decide where we are going to. And of course, it's not a straight line. We know that we are in a VUCA world, so things happen. So the travel is never direct. So during this kickoff session, when we saw the future, we said, you know, these are the themes that we want to cover, and this is how we are going to work together. So we talk about the working culture, so themes and working culture. After that, we need to prioritize. What is your priority? What do you want to tackle first? And this is about also quick wins for us. It's about basically customer satisfaction. And how do you want to sequence it? So there is sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. I want to deal with meetings, presentations, and so on. And after that, you zoom in into the first sprint and you start the detailed planning only, and the kickoff, detailed planning, and the process for the first sprint, where you actually do it together with them. Now, I would invite you to, before that, sorry. So this is a definition that I let you read. That was co-created with some trainers who we worked with. And this was how they summed up, together with us, the process, the Agile teaching process. Now, I'm going to invite you to reflect on what you have just heard about Agile. Questions can come at the end of the session. And just think about it. Would you be inclined to experiment with this? And if not, what is stopping you? If yes, how could you implement that?
So I feel like this sounds familiar to me in terms of collaborations that I've done in lots of different areas. How do you express dynamism within your framework? What's different? What's the agility?
The agility is that, that there is a continuous check-in, for example, at the beginning of each sprint, each session, where they are with their thinking, where they are with their learning. It's not just about language. So we are language experts as well, but we are not just interested in that, but creating effective learning. So if they want to speed up their process, for example, you check in at the beginning of each session. So what has been going on with your effective learning? And everything, I mean, we will touch on that later, that everything is questions. You ask questions a lot. When they ask you to be a language expert, then you are a language expert. Other than that, you ask questions. So a little bit like Socrates, nothing new. So I don't know if I answered your questions.
Yes, definitely.
I was interested that each sprint has a different sort of topic, like meetings or whatever, but surely each sprint depends on the one that's gone before. That's the whole point. If you're pre-setting it, then actually all you're doing is short courses in different topic areas. So
that's a way to see it.
Influence each other.
Everything influences everything. It's the butterfly effect. So but it depends on priorities of that team or of that person. So it's about, yeah.
When you meet your learners at the very beginning, you often, do a kick-off and you talk about the goals, and people come up with different goals, and so you decide, okay, well, yeah, this is what I'd like to do in 40 hours. So I'd like to touch on improving my pronunciation. I'd like to revise the tenses again and again and again. I'd like to do some presentations. So what you do is you build that at the beginning, and then you say, okay, well, we're going to, if that's okay with you, we're going to start with this sprint, which is perhaps the priority for you, bearing in mind that there were the other goals that had been defined, but that because of the Agile principles, you are allowed to change. And at the end of the sprint, you ask your people, say, okay, are you ready to move on? No, we need to do a bit more work on presentations. Okay, or maybe, yeah, fine with presentations, let's do something else. And then you check in, you see, as Gabriella says, making sure that everyone's really in line with what they want to do. Because we know that sometimes they come in and they say, well, we want to revise the tenses, but really, that's not what they need, because they can know the tenses, yeah. But how is that going to help them in their business lives? So is that, that helps you? Yeah. So you keep the general direction, and then each sprint is, as you say, and that's the beauty of it, because it gives you the opportunity of shifting.
And is this really what you want to do? Is this your goal? Yeah. It's always a question. Is this really? Go ahead. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Are there any other...
I think we have to move on.
Yeah?
I'm sorry. Sorry for that.
Okay.
What about when somebody already knows the stuff right away? You do, like,
yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. We have to move on.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we've talked about the process, the principles, and really what's important is bringing the process alive. Because a process, a method, a framework is what it is. But without people, without human beings, then, it's rather inactive. So what we would like you to do now is to talk together in small groups. We set out the process. What does that mean, setting out the process? What does bringing the process alive mean to you? If I say that, what does bringing the process alive mean? What does it evoke? And how do we go about bringing that process alive? So maybe you could just brainstorm a bit together.
Maybe together, so...
Yeah.
What do you think?
We are running just 1 or 2 minutes behind.
Yeah. We're doing okay.
Yeah, we're doing okay. I know, no time. Time flies. Just some words. Let's.
What would you do to bring the process alive? What does that evoke?
Personalization.
Sorry?
Personalization.
Okay.
Personalization, yeah.
Participation as well.
Yeah, participation, nice.
Okay.
Compromise.
Compromise.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Agility.
Okay.
Yes.
Motivation.
Okay, motivation, nice.
Negotiation.
Negotiation.
All right.
Yeah, negotiation, yeah.
Okay. Let's crack on.
Yeah. So, if you remember, there's the kick-off, and there's the planning of the course together, and that's followed by the execution phase, which is the rollout of the content for as far as we're concerned. Okay? So, what brings the process alive? Well, Gabriella and I like this phrase, human magic, because that's what makes the whole thing come to life. We are human beings, yeah? We're social beings, and we need connections, not just digital connections, huh? And we thrive on relationships. So when building a working relationship with your learners, we really need to think about psychological safety. We want them to feel that they're in a supportive environment where they can express themselves without being judged, where they can feel comfortable about talking about not only their needs and expectations, but also about their fears and their emotions. Learning a new language is exposing oneself. It's stepping out of your comfort zone. And it sometimes means losing some self-confidence. We want, of course, that for the learners to have a pleasant experience while we're together. And paying attention to all these factors helps create the good conditions for learning. Another driver of effective learning is motivation. Now, we often assume, don't we, that because a person is in the classroom that they are motivated. And we all know in our experience that that isn't always the case. And really, if you don't talk about it openly, then you'll never really know the true level of the motivation of people in your class. Some of our trainers said that they didn't really dare bring up the idea of talking about motivation with their learners because they felt uncomfortable about it. But actually when they did, they learnt a lot. They got some insights into the learner's frame of mind. And because they knew better how, why people were there, was it because they were forced to by their managers, or was it because, well, they had the opportunity of doing some training, so they thought they'd do English? And that makes a difference to your approach. And keeping up motivation is also something that we do all the time, but maybe we don't talk about it explicitly. We think that keeping up motivation is done by engaging the learners in every step of the way. So from knowing what they want to do with explicit discussion to actually how they're going to do it. And it's very easy, I've done this, to fall into the trap of assuming that you know what a person needs or what a group needs. Okay, they're B1, yeah, I know, I can do that. We'll do this and we'll do that. So basically Gabriella and I are saying, okay, well, you do have a very good idea of what a B1 is and what that B1 might want to do. But until you've actually discussed it with the learner, you might actually miss the mark. So we consult the learners. We ask open-ended questions. Not, do you want to do this, but tell me what you do in your job. How do you, how do you want to improve your English? We ask open-ended questions. We also listen attentively, and we use feedback as well. Where we see a parallel too with Agile project management is that we consider the learner or a group of learners and ourselves as a team. And as a team, we're stronger and we can learn from each other. We can learn from the collective intelligence that we generate. We also share a common desire to achieve the goals. And it's up to us as project managers to make sure that everyone's on board